Greetings, gaming citizens. Mike here. I'm an idiot. So, yeah. For the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase today, I was a dumbass and forgot to unmute my microphone, so I have no audio. So yeah, that entire video is just useless now. So we're gonna talk about the Direct a little differently than usual. Depending on how much people like this video, maybe this will be the format that I pursue going forward. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. But yeah, without further ado, let's just kind of get into the play-by-play of the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. So, Orbitals was first on deck. Orbitals looks pretty cool. I like the visual style of Orbitals. Like, I like that it has that retro anime, like, I want to say 80s or 90s, like, visual aesthetic. I think it looks really distinct and pretty awesome. Part of me wishes that it was, like, a single player game, but I mean, a co-op game is still pretty neat. The puzzles looks fun to go through. It just looks, it looks really cool. Looks like a neat little labor of love to retro anime aesthetics and just another really cool co-op experience. But then we start getting into other stuff coming to Switch too, or Switch family of system. You get the idea. We see Paranormasight is getting, I guess, a sequel. I have never heard of this series ever in my life. It looks like a cool little detective game. I don't really have a lot to say about it. The most like detective game stuff I've really played was the Somnium Files, and that was pretty cool. Like, that was a pretty good game. So I feel like this is a game that I could probably get into. It's just I've never really heard about it up until this point. So, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Visual style also is kind of striking. I kind of like it. Then we got some other games like Captain Tsubasa. I've never heard of this, so to hear that there's a Captain Tsubasa 2, I mean, good for them, I guess. Like, anime soccer, woohoo! I mean, we had Inazuma 11 Victory Road last year, so there's another one, I guess. And then we got that, like, dinosaur survival game, Tokyo Scramble. Yeah, that was something. Visually, it looks a little rough, but the gameplay of sneaking around, like being a stealth-ish type of game where you don't really have combat, I could see that being entertaining. I think that might be fun for, you know, a particular crowd, and having like the multiplayer features of like people having like up to 4 players who control individual parts of the game. So like one person controls the camera, one controls actions, one controls movement, the other controls apps. I think that's pretty neat. I don't think I've really seen other games like do that, so I'm interested to see how that works. I feel like that could be a really cool game for streamers to mess around with. I wonder if that'll start a trend. I think that's kind of a new thing that we haven't really seen in the multiplayer space, or at least that I've heard of. So, pretty cool. Not really my cup of tea, but looks fascinating from a multiplayer perspective. Valheim looks like shit. I'm sorry. Like, when I saw this in the Direct, God, that is the only thing I could focus on, because how could you not? What? No. It looks so bad. All the textures are such garbage. The models are so low poly. Like, it's not even in like a flattering way of like, oh, this looks pretty retro. It's like, this is 3D but bad. like this, like when people were complaining about Pokemon Sword and Shield back in the day, I imagined it looked kind of like this. Like this makes Pokemon Sword and Shield look better by comparison. It's, oh god, I just, I don't want to dog on them too hard, but I can't ignore it. It looks just awful. Just so bad. You may as well play Minecraft. We got Hollow Knight Switch 2 edition. I don't really have a lot to say about that one. That was pretty neat. Play Hollow Knight. Another soccer game, eFootball. Fair enough. Cool soccer game for people that don't feel like supporting EA Sports. Nice. I'm an American. Can you tell how little I care about soccer? Then we got Adventures of Elliot, or what's the title of that? It's a long title. The Adventures of Elliot: The Millennium Tales. That's what it is. Man, that game looks incredible. Like HD 2D. It's hard to go wrong with that style. Just the lighting, gorgeous. The music in the trailer too. Holy crap! I thought it was amazing. Like this game is. When it was first revealed, I was excited. I thought it looked amazing. And then just having a second look at this game, man, that's a good looking game. And it comes out in June, so yeah, it's pretty neat. Like it is one of the few like games where I would consider buying a Switch 2 just to play it. Like it's not quite a system seller, but it's pretty up there. So I really can't wait to give that game a try. Then we got the Bomberman collection, or Super Bomberman collection, using the full government name there. Switch 2 edition. That's pretty cool. I don't particularly care about Bomberman, but I respect that they brought back some games that were not previously released in North America. That's awesome. Developers should do that more, where they just take games that were not originally released in North America, put them in collections with the other stuff. That I feel like that's what makes a collection really worth it. So that's pretty awesome. Really cool stuff. That's a rare Konami W right there. Then we saw Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't know how I didn't put this in my predictions video, but yeah, that makes sense. It's, yep, they if they're gonna put Final Fantasy VII Remake on Switch 2, they may as well go for the other one. And especially where there's some rumblings about Part 3 supposedly being in the works, where like the subtitle is basically chosen. I like how that's the news that we're pointing to, where it's like, just, oh my god, the biggest news about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. Oh my god, what's the game like? We have the title. Like, I think that's pretty funny. But this comes out June 3rd, so pretty opportune timing. Imagine they released this on Switch 2, and then like 3 days later at Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley's just like, hey, y'all like Final Fantasy? Wait until you hear about this. And they show Part 3. That would be pretty awesome. I wonder if this will pave the way for releasing Part 3 simultaneously on all platforms, like worldwide, or if we're gonna have to wait for the Switch 2 port of that. But still, Rebirth, pretty cool to have that on Switch 2. That's awesome. And then they continue this train with Pragmata. I had never really seen much gameplay up until this point. I'm sure there's been plenty of like demos and everything, but yeah, this game looks good. I like this. Like it's, I don't know, it's the hacking mechanic looks pretty fun. I feel like, I don't know, it feels like a very interesting type of quick time event, where instead of like pressing A button, you you have to put a bit of thinking into it of like moving across like that grid that shows up and like chaining together different like combos or something to hack the enemies in front of you. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. That's awesome. And also, I mean, the amiibo. I saw pictures of the amiibo. It's pretty cool. Sorry, I'm not good at these types of videos, but just off the cuff, I really like Pragmata. I really got to get a system that can run it. It is looking good. Cool that there's a demo available. It's coming out at the end of April, so that's kind of soon. Quarter 1 is pretty good. Then we get into, I don't know, is it like a sizzle reel? Probably not, but yeah, this weird like interpretation of Turok. I don't know, like, cool. No, I mean, okay, it sounds like I'm kind of being dismissive. Genuinely, I think it does look interesting. When I think Turok, it's just that this kind of reimagining of it is not what I had in mind, but I like it. Being able to like adapt your abilities to the world around you and using that to defend yourself, like that's a pretty cool mechanic. And I really like how it looks. I think the world design is actually pretty solid. I'm interested to know a bit more about this. I kind of like it. I like what they're doing here. And it comes out in fall, so definitely a bit of time to get some more information out there. Then we got the highlight for me personally. Also because I predicted it. Kyoto Xanadu, the sequel to Tokyo Xanadu. Hell yeah. So when I reviewed Tokyo Xanadu on this channel, God, a while ago, I enjoyed the first game. But this game looks like just a better evolution of it. Like, holy crap. It's interesting. They are taking on a very different gameplay structure from the first one, where it was just, you know, kind of Persona-esque, walking around open world to, you know, I guess build social links or like have a social life and, you know, get to know characters, and then you go into these like dungeons. It's all 3D basically. But yeah, I kind of lamented how some of the open worlds felt a bit empty. And it feels like that this game actually takes that into consideration, and part of it's like 2D for some of the I want to say dungeon crawling. I'm not actually too sure. I would need to watch it again, but yeah, it seems like, you know, you go into like 2D side scroller, or not side scroller, but like 2D dungeon stuff, and then combat with bosses is fully 3D. It looks fun. Like I can't say enough good about it. Like, it just looks amazing. And it looks like the UI is definitely a lot more clean, because that was a complaint that I had about the first game, where it felt like there was so much going on with the UI, and I kept forgetting like what does what, but they have the button prompts on screen. It just looks like they really considered the user experience a lot more with this game. So I'm excited. I am very excited for this game. I cannot wait to play it. It seems like they've got a lot going on here, and I want to get my hands on it. I am very excited. Good for Falcom. Yeah. Play Tokyo Xanadu. You'll see what I mean, or watch my review, but definitely play the game, especially if this looks good. Yeah, I would recommend the first game still. And then we got Digimon. I have never played a Digimon, but this looks pretty good. I don't know much about Digimon, truthfully. It looks neat. Look, I'm really trying my best here. But yeah, no, I don't know much about just Digimon games, but it seems like the kind of gameplay I would really get into. And, you know, I'm not the kind of guy to dogpile on Pokemon, where it's just like, oh, this looks good, unlike what its, you know, not predecessor, but It's like, unlike Pokemon, this looks high quality, but it does look like a really good alternative to Pokemon, if that's what you're looking for. I personally still love Pokemon, so I can see myself enjoying both. Then we got into some more games that I kind of only have a couple comments about, like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Endless Ragnarok. Cool. I like it. It looks fun. But like a action RPG. Pretty awesome. Then Monster Hunter Stories 3. I mean, what more could they even show in this trailer? Like, that was my thought. It was basically just a quick, like, hey, this is the game. By the way, it comes out soon, and there's a demo available. So I kind of figured they were going to do a trailer like that. So, fair enough. I still need to play a Monster Hunter Stories game, so maybe I'll actually try this one. If I ever get a Switch 2, I'll definitely give this a shot. Then there was just some arcade archive stuff and console archives. I don't really have a lot to say about that one. And Ninja Gaiden 2, pretty neat. I don't know. I've never really paid attention to the arcade archives stuff, but bringing more classic games to the Switch ecosystem is always pretty neat. So good for them for keeping on doing that. Then we get into a sizzle reel of just some other games coming to Switch too, and your WWE and whatever. Scott Pilgrim EX looks fun. Just a bunch of games that I kind of don't really have much to say, but a lot of them I was just kind of like, oh yeah, fair enough, or oh wow, I didn't realize that wasn't already on Switch. Like Tales of Arise was definitely a highlight. I thought that was already on Switch or Switch 2, but I guess not. So pretty cool. I heard that Arise is a pretty excellent game in the Tales series. Then we get an extended trailer for Resident Evil 9, and that's where I was kind of like, really? Like, this goes on for, like, 2 minutes? Like, what more? I don't want to hate Capcom for this, but it's like, what more can they share about Resident Evil? They took up, like, 3 whole minutes about Resident Evil 9. It's not like Resident Evil 9 is bad, or that it looks bad, but it's like, what more is there to talk about? It comes out at the end of the month. Like, I don't know. It felt like all of that could have been an email. Then, for the final announcement, we got Todd Howard is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. So, he announced just a handful of remasters coming to Switch 2. So, we got Fallout 4, which I've heard is, like, the best one. And pretty expansive. They've got a lot of expansions and a lot of Creator Club stuff. So it's cool that like fan-made items are becoming like an official part of the package with this definitive edition of Fallout 4. I think utilizing like community assets like that is pretty neat, provided credit is given where it's due. And then Indiana Jones. Makes sense. That was one of those games where it's like, oh, yeah, there it is. It was only a matter of time before they did that. So good for them. I've heard it's a pretty good game. Yeah, I might give it a shot. I'm not sure. And then Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. It looks fine. I heard there were quite a few performance issues on launch, so I'm hoping that they were able to kind of polish that up for this Switch 2 release, but it's cool to see more titles like this coming to Switch 2 in general. I feel like the circle of people that enjoy Bethesda games would probably own a Switch 2. So that's pretty neat. I thought they were going to announce Starfield, but I guess not. Might have been too big of a game. But yeah, that was a pretty balanced partner showcase. I feel like we always expect too much from these. Like, everyone wants to see, like, a dozen first-party games announced at once when it comes to a regular Nintendo Direct. And that partner showcase, it feels like they have the most, like, absurd expectations. But my only expectation going into it was a pretty balanced lineup of games, like a good variety of stuff coming to the Switch ecosystem. Yeah, I think that's what we got. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think Nintendo needed this variety of third-party support to kind of give people more stuff to play while they wait for the first-party stuff. So I think this was pretty good for what it set out to accomplish. I think it did a pretty okay job. There were a couple of titles that I was interested in, so that definitely helped. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent direct. But I'm curious what everybody else thought of that direct. Do you agree? Pretty decent variety, or was there stuff that you were really hoping for that you didn't quite get? Let me know in the comments down below. That's going to be it for me. Stay vibing and thriving, everyone. I will see you in the next one. And I will make sure that my microphone is not muted next time.